Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
Spend some time with yourself and really candidly decide what kind of vehicle you need.
We call him the godfather of lacrosse in the community, but what he really is one of the greatest.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. It's one thing to imagine an alien invasion, but it's another to build a show that makes you feel like you're living through it. Invasion is back for season 3 on Apple TV+, and this time the fight takes us straight into the hearts of the alien mothership. From X-Men to The Martian, Simon Kinberg knows how to tell a big cinematic story, and he's here to talk about raising the stakes, bringing characters together, and what we can expect for this next wave when it hits. Welcome to the show, Simon. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. Happy to be here.
All right, so this season brings all of the perspectives from like the past seasons together for the first time. How did that shift change and the tone and the pace of the show?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I was most excited about, really from the beginning of conceiving the show, was that eventually all of these different strands of stories and characters would come together. And it took us, 2 full seasons and now into our 3rd season to finally bring these characters together, because they started in all these disparate places, from Asia to the US to Europe to Northern Africa. And finally, all of our main characters are sort of smashed together on a mission that adds a different level of stakes and in some ways sort of action and velocity to the season 2. The show has been picking up pace as the seasons go on. The first season was kind of like Act 1 of a movie, and the second season was Act 2, where things start to pick up, and then this is really the sort of big clash of like an Act 3 of a film.
And Invasion always has these balanced global, has always these different personal stories from around the world. How do you make sure those human moments will shine in such a big sci-fi setting?
Well, for me, the opportunity and the challenge of the show is to keep it really intimate, while also making it really, massive in scale and scope. And the movies that I watched growing up, whether it was E.T. or Star Wars or Back to the Future or Terminator, they always did a really good job of balancing those two things, the epic and the intimate. And so I just look to those as sort of my North Stars when I'm trying to find the right balance for the show.
And you've got some familiar faces back and some new cast members. What can you tell us about the dynamics between the characters this season?
Well, this season is just completely different than the previous 2 seasons, because all these characters come together for the first time, and so they're having to learn to be a team. The main characters that people who've watched the first couple of seasons hopefully have come to love and have followed. This is the first time that they're really interacting and really forced to become like a little family to survive. And so the dynamic is completely different, because we have all of these people from different parts of the world coming together on a singular mission to try to save the world.
And for fans who've been with Invasion from the start, and maybe for those who are jumping in now, what's one of the things that you hope is a good takeaway from season 3?
I think the thing that's the biggest and coolest thing about season 3 is that we have all these characters coming together for the first time. That you see, if you've been watching, and even if you haven't, you see these characters from completely different worlds, some of whom don't even fully speak the same languages, certainly from completely different cultures and backgrounds. They're all smashed together on a mission that's critical to the survival of the human race, and so the stakes are super high for these characters, and it's a chance for them to get to know each other in the way that we as audience have come to know them.
Simon Kinberg, thanks for joining us this morning. Invasion Season 3 is streaming now on Apple TV+, with new episodes dropping every Friday through October 24th. Dive in, catch up, and see what happens when the fight to save humanity goes straight to the mothership. Hey, thanks for joining us, Simon.
Thank you for having me.
Ever feel like diabetes advice keeps changing, and it's hard to know what actually matters? Each year, doctors and researchers update the guidance and shapes how diabetes is treated and even prevented. Today, we're joined by Dr. Rita Kalyani, Chief Scientific and Medical Officer at the American Diabetes Association. Dr. Kalyani, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, for people hearing this term for the first time, what exactly are the standards of care?
The American Diabetes Association Standards of Care is the gold standard for the management of diabetes. This is a document that's published every year. This past year, it was 300 pages long, that has a series of recommendations for what should be done or recommended based on the latest scientific advancements and research that have been conducted in the past year. The Standards of Care is updated annually. It comes out online in mid-December. We partner with a team of experts who lead the way in updating the recommendations for best practices on how to manage diabetes based on the latest scientific evidence.
So why are these standards so important for both doctors and patients?
For healthcare professionals and doctors, it is a reference or a tool that really, as mentioned, provides best practices for what is recommended to treat people with diabetes, to reduce the risk of complications based on the latest scientific research. For people living with diabetes or their caregivers, it is hopefully a tool to give them confidence in self-managing or treating their diabetes at home, knowing what the latest knowledge and research is and how they can optimally use that to improve their own lives to live a long, healthy life with diabetes.
So what stands out as new or different in this year's recommendations?
There are so many new recommendations in the ADA Standards of Care this year. I'll highlight just a few. In the area of diabetes technology, we have seen so many new technological devices introduced every year that are available for the management of diabetes. In this year's Standards of Care, there's new guidance on the use of continuous glucose monitors, both at diagnosis of diabetes and through a lifetime of living with diabetes, and the populations or the individuals who would most benefit from their use based on the latest research. There's new recommendations on the use of medications for reducing the risk of heart disease, kidney disease, and liver disease in people with diabetes. Recommendations for eating patterns that have been found to have benefit in people with diabetes, and new guidance on screening for type 1 diabetes. There's many other new updates, but those are just a few.
So when people hear about these updates, what do you most want them to take away?
The ADA Standards of Care are grounded in science, and we want people to take away that these are available as a tool to know what is the latest scientific research demonstrating in terms of best practices for diabetes. We want people to know that they're available as a reference, not only to know how to screen and prevent complications from diabetes, but what are the new therapies and recommendations regarding lifestyle behaviors that are out there. Overall, this is a resource that's available for anyone to access, and we really hope that people will take advantage of it.
And if somebody has questions or wants to learn more, where should they go for reliable information?
The Standards of Care can be found on the American Diabetes Association website at diabetes.org. At that website, there's many other resources too, including a free risk test. It takes only 60 seconds to find out if you might be at risk for diabetes. That's at diabetes.org/risk test. At the ADA, we are celebrating 85 years of our focus to improve the lives of all people living with diabetes, and we encourage you to join our fight and find out more at that website, diabetes.org.
Dr. Kalyani, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Do you ever get through the holidays and think, okay, now what about some of that big stuff I need? The days right after Christmas can actually be one of the smartest times of the year to shop for a brand new car, especially as new model years start arriving. You know, get rid of the 2025s, get to the 2026. Some dealers are doing some deals and wheels. So joining us today is James Bell, head of corporate communications at Kia America, to explain why, end of the year timing could work in a buyer's favor. Welcome to the show, James. How are you, my friend?
Couldn't be better. Talking cars, it's a good day.
All right, so a lot of people don't realize this. I used to work at a dealership, but that changeover from 2025, 2026 could mean some deals in the world of getting a car. So let's explain, why does the end of December tend to be such a strong window for car buyers?
Well, there is some truth to the idea that the manufacturers are offering new incentives to the dealers to help them move some of the sheet metal. And then, of course, the dealers are then incentivizing their salesmen to get more deals done. So, yeah, there's something in that. But where I think the magic really comes in is the idea of the information you can have before you go shopping. The idea of knowing which vehicles are hotter on the marketplace than others. So, but maybe something that's not super hot is a perfect fit for your family. So you can really do that next level of analysis. There's other vehicles that are transitioned to the next model year, but in an all new way. Our Telluride is one of the best-selling vehicles we've ever had in our lineup. Continues to outsell itself year on year, which is such an anomaly in the business. Normally, they kind of peak and then drop down. Telluride just continues to grow. Well, at the LA Auto Show in November, we launched an all-new version. So what does that mean? That we're now closing out the current model. So again, it's just a natural transition. It's not that the vehicle is doing poorly. In fact, it does very well, but there's now special deals on it because it's in closeout mode. So that kind of information is the magic that really allows you to be the best shopper possible.
All right, speaking of some of that magic, let's give our buyers a little power, little insights, especially from the man. Before someone walks into a dealership lot, what should they already know or have in their arsenal already going in?
Great question. Easy answer. Spend some time with yourself and really candidly decide what kind of vehicle you need. There's something inherent in the American car buying psyche that pushes us to buy the most, the biggest, the most powerful, the most capable. That's all good stuff. But if you're really only driving to Costco and really only picking up the kids and really only driving to work and back, you may have overbought. So I think the smartest information you can do is just really analyze yourself. What kind of machine do I need next? What's going to amplify and fit into my life, as opposed to, do I need to try to fit into a vehicle that I may have overbought? So once you know what kind of vehicle you really need for your next machine, whether it's a commuter, electric, hybrid, gasoline, knowing that really kind of narrows it down. And then with that information, you can find the best fit for your life as opposed to the other way around.
And as 2026 models are starting to come in, what are shoppers seeing like the most opportunity right now? Is it sedans, hybrids, SUVs?
It's all across the board. I mean, the SUV market is always super hot and super competitive, so there's a lot of energy there. The sedan market is kind of doing a bit of a renaissance. People are standing back and saying, "Wow, we bought that 3-row SUV and we've had no more than 3 people in it, 4 times in the years we've owned it." So that was probably the wrong kind of machine. So let's go look at something a little more rational, a little smarter. And then you talked about electric vehicles. The future is going that way. We're in a bit of a slowdown at this moment, which might mean an opportunity. So it really is about finding the machine that fits you. And then right now in this market, going into 2026, I can't even speak, then it's a great time to go shopping.
All right, James. And for people that are doing a little research before they shop, where should they start?
Well, I recommend Kia.com just to have a look at all the lineup of vehicles we have, from small sedans to big SUVs, plug-in hybrids, electric vehicles, the full spectrum. So the Kia lineup is fantastic right now. But I also love outlets like Edmunds and Kelley Blue Book, because they are not only have that kind of inside information about the industry, but then also amplify that with financial data. So that's a good place to start.
James Bell, I want to thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, sir. Anytime.
Have you ever watched a true crime show and wondered, where's the line between justice and entertainment? There's a new documentary called Predators that takes a hard look at Dateline's To Catch a Predator and the world that grew around it. Emmy and Peabody award-winning director David Oza is pulling back the curtain on the show's legacy and what it says about us as viewers. David, I want to thank you for being here, my friend. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, for people who only remember To Catch a Predator as a big TV moment, how do you describe what Predators is really about?
My film is really unpacking the legacy of this show, which was this segment on Dateline NBC in the 2000s that would set up a hidden camera in a sting house where men who were having online chats of a sexual nature with decoys who were pretending to be minors would then show up to a house, meet the decoys, then meet a journalist named Chris Hansen. He'd then interview them. Being filmed by hidden cameras, tell them that they were being filmed on a TV show, that they were free to go, but then they'd be arrested by law enforcement. This happened hundreds of times. The show was a sensation. And we really weren't very critical about what was happening when this was airing because we'd never seen anything like it before. This existed on the internet back when everyone was fluent in the internet, but before social media. So we really were just exploring this new phenomenon as far as we were concerned. At the time of just, wow, the internet's a scary place. And we found a way to enjoy this news program. Now, I think that what happened then is that we created a template for modern true crime, which is that you have journalism and law enforcement working together to create some type of entertainment. And that's really one of the legacies of To Catch a Predator.
So when you started digging into the story, what surprised you most about how the show actually worked behind the scenes?
I think when I started to really understand one particular element of the show, it sort of stood out to me, which is that these men were already able to be charged with a crime before they ever showed up to the Sting house. The crime is online solicitation of a minor, but then they show up at the house and they could be arrested right then and there, but instead they're interviewed by a journalist who's not telling them who he is necessarily. And then they're filmed, and then they're told they're free to go, and then they're arrested. So all that part, that middle part, is kind of theater, and it's all for us to watch at home. So when I started to think about that, I started to realize, well, there is a huge component of this that's really just entertainment. And it's not the first time in the world where you reach people and give people something to watch, and then that moves the needle on a national conversation. But how does that then shift into maybe potentially that kind of entertainment becoming used more flippantly, more randomly, and disregarding potentially the human cost of what that entertainment creates? Those are some of the questions I liked to get into when I made the film.
And the film really leans into some like ethical gray areas. You got the stings, the cameras, the way audience reacted. What are some of the biggest questions that you wanted viewers to wrestle with when they watch this?
To be completely honest with you, one thing I'm really eager for viewers to wrestle with in terms of questions is actually just how they feel watching the show, or my show rather. You know, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I'm also asking people to consider certain things about, what do I do for a living? What do all of us do for a living when we're telling people's stories? There's some things in my film that are hard to watch. There's some things in my film that I think will make you laugh. There's a big journey in this story, because I'm asking you to consider kind of what your own line is, of where you'll draw the line between whether something is too much about entertainment or whether something's good intentions justify it being entertaining. And we don't have answers to that. Everyone has their own answer to that question. We all kind of have our own line in the sand about what we think. Well, it's actually more like a line in asphalt, because it really is hard to change how we feel about whether something is right or wrong. And we don't like it when people try to change it for us, I've noticed, in society. So my film's kind of about asking those questions and asking you, how do you feel when you watch some of this material? How does it make you feel?
And you talked to some former decoys, the host, and people who were directly affected by the show. Was there a particular interview or moment that changed the way you saw this whole phenomenon?
Not one particular interview or moment, although I spent time talking to Chris Henson in the film and many of the decoys who were involved in the story. All of it was very interesting and compelling to me, and in part made me think again about, well, I'm, for example, asking some people in the film to recollect some pretty hard moments. There was an incident of a man in Texas who took his own life when the camera crews and the police came to his house to arrest him for the sting. For To Catch a Predator. And I interviewed some people who were involved with that story, and I asked them to bring up, some hard memories. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like I hope I'm not traumatizing these people. But again, those are the kind of questions that I think you only start asking when you're thinking about what are the ethics of making stories out of people's lives. Documentaries have been doing that for years. True crime's been doing that for years. But this film's really not just about To Catch a Predator, but it's about the ethics of how we tell stories.
And as you were saying, that true crime is bigger than ever right now. After making Predators, how do you hope people think differently about the shows and content that they are choosing to watch and their role as an audience?
Not to sound like a broken record, but I don't want to tell people specifically what I want them to think, because that's our problem, I think, in our society, is that we've got a lot of people telling you all the time what you should think about something. And I just want you to go on a journey with this movie. I designed it so that it challenges the way you feel at all times about what you're watching and looking at. And there's going to be times when you're uncomfortable, and there's going to be times when the person sitting next to you, who you thought was your BFF, might be making you uncomfortable because they disagree with you or you disagree with them. But I think that is the hard thing about being a human being, is that sometimes we disagree with each other. It doesn't mean we are wrong. It means we're just complicated. And this is a show about trying to take complication away. There's good guys and bad guys. And I do think the world is more complicated than that. It's not about defending child predators. It's not about making you feel bad for them. It's about asking you to consider, how do we treat people?
David, I want to thank you for joining me today. Predators is now streaming on Paramount Plus, so if you remember to catch a predator or just want a smarter take on true crime, this is one to check out. David Ozit, thank you so much once again for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Do you ever watch a trailer to instantly wonder what really happened behind the scenes? You know, The Mighty Oaks is one of those films, a survival story with heart, grit, and a little mystery woven in. It lands on VOD and DVD on December 9th, and today we've got two key voices behind it. Filmmaker Brendan Hardy and producer Brad Ledwith. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you, my friends?
Thank you so much for having us, Dan. We're having a great time.
All right. I'm glad you're having a great time because I'm off to a terrible start this morning. My brain is frazzled, and I guess for the people that are just hearing about it, what is The Mighty Oaks really about, kind of at its core?
I think that the story of the Mighty Oaks is truly an opportunity for people to see lacrosse, tear the covers off of high school sports, and at the same time, accentuate the successes of an underdog team.
We have been talking about lacrosse a lot on the show lately. It's the
fastest growing sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first stepped into the project, what grabbed you about the story, some of the characters, and the setting?
Brendan?
For me, it was, first and foremost, Brad's enthusiasm and the community that surrounded him. Tough to do a project like this if everybody's not, bought in and excited about it. And that's really the energy we had from the very beginning. And then to have the opportunity to, pull the curtain back and show what it's really like, to spend a season with these kids who are going through all the issues kids have, as well as trying to win a championship. From my perspective as a creator, it was an awesome opportunity, and we think it comes out in the final product.
And the dynamic between some of the characters or people in it did feel personal. Did you bring anything from your own personal lives or experience to kind of shape how you approach this movie?
Well, that's a great question, Dan. I think that I bring it to the sports. My own experiences of growing up playing baseball, football, basketball. I lost my dad at an early age, and to me, being able to give back to my community, and my dad was a real involved in I remember him being president of the soccer team in the 70s, and honestly, it's one of those things that I remember him doing a lot for the program, and he didn't know anything about soccer. So the story of the Mighty Oaks, which you can find on Amazon Prime, which you can pre-order on Apple TV, December 9th it comes out. I'm telling you right now, if you buy this movie, if you like documentaries, you'll love it. If you like sports documentaries, you're going to think it wins an Oscar.
And the film digs into a little bit of loss, adoption, family grief. How did you approach telling some of these stories without getting too personal or exposing too much?
Well, we covered a lot of different stories. There's a whole women's aspect to this, and their varsity team as well. But some of the more personal stories, I think you just have to handle with sensitivity and a deft touch, but also keep it authentic. And I think if you do that, you have license to tell the stories and get support from the families, and humanizing this movie and making it not just a sports film, but something about the kids and really getting into some of the emotional aspects was important. And that's why we did it.
And telling a documentary, it may be a little difficult because Morgan Hill, they built this lacrosse program pretty much from scratch. What did you learn about the community, or how did you be able to get the community and the parents to support you in making this possible?
Brad's a juggernaut in the community. His enthusiasm is infectious. He's been around from day one. Really, we call him the godfather of lacrosse in the community, but what he really is one of the greatest supporters of it and givers of his time. That's what really got me into it.
All right, you two, I want to thank you two for joining me. You can check out The Mighty Oaks as it comes to streaming on December 9th. I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thanks, Dan. And listen, my story is the same all over the country, and Brendan told it very well.
Well, thank you too.
Thanks, Dan.
You ever have a breakup where the dog took it a little harder than you did? There's a new rom-com that leans into that idea with a very good boy caught in the middle of the world's most awkward co-parenting situation. So today, we're hanging out with Patricia Heaton and David Hunt in the new Prime Video movie Merv, where fixing the dog's broken heart might just spark something between the humans too. Patricia, David, hey, how you guys doing today?
We're doing great, thank you.
Doing great, thanks.
All right, so for the people that haven't seen the trailer yet, what is the heart of Merv and kind of what pulled you both towards this story?
Well, Merv is about a dog who's depressed because his parents, played by Zooey Deschanel and Charlie Cox, have broken up. And so they're sharing custody of him. And he's not doing well. He's a little depressed. And so it's about their journey to try to help Merv adjust to the situation and about them mending their relationship.
And the movie treats the dog's perspective with so much humor and warmth. How did that dynamic shape your characters playing the parents?
I'm not sure.
Our characters are really concerned more about the relationship between
we
Anna
played the
and
same
Russ.
sort of role in the sense we're trying to bring the couple back together again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit depressed that they're broken up also. We're like Merv. Yeah, so that's kind of our dynamic, and we want to see them get back together.
And there's like a thread of healing throughout the healing through joy that kind of runs throughout the film. And as the parents trying to bring them together, what captured that feeling for you two?
Well, I think, for the Christmas season, it's really important, especially with things that are going on in the world today, to have that kind of joy, to have a reminder to be grateful for your family, to be grateful for your relationships, and try to be kind, just spread kindness in the world. So that's really kind of what attracted us.
Yeah, to be grateful for your own life, as well as that of your family. But it's important to spark a conversation. And if it takes a dog to have people start talking to each other, I think that's a wonderful thing. We could use a lot more of that in the world right now.
And both of you have, I guess, incredible chemistry on screen because it happens off screen as well. What's it like building this world as a real life couple in a movie and kind of maintaining that chemistry?
Well, how many years have we been married? 35?
Do we have to really tell everybody?
Well,
that?
it's just every year on our anniversary, we wake up and we go like, that's enough, right? That's long enough.
Yeah.
There's nothing new to figure out. But I think, chemistry probably brings people together. And then it's about like accepting and creating history together through your family, through your experiences. And then just really appreciating and being able to look back on just sort of this wonderful life that you've been given.
The journey is
the journey.
The journey is everything.
Yeah.
And every holiday movie has that moment that kind of sticks with audiences. What do you hope people walk away with after watching Merv?
I think just, as I said, to learn to be kind, learn to communicate, be patient with each other, give people grace to figure things out and just be there for each other.
Can we set aside our differences long enough to actually talk to each other?
Yeah.
That's what I would like people to go away with.
Yeah.
All right. I want to thank you two for joining me this morning. Merv is arriving on Prime Video December 10th. Grab the family, grab the dog. Hopefully they're not depressed, and make sure you stream it right at home. I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
And that's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, just go to our website, riseunwindtv.com, and you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, or follow our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.